Hey guys, and welcome to Diabetic 365. Today we have a special guest who is very familiar with the diabetic community, and he is none other than Tony. Tony from bloggingdiabetes.com. Hi Tony, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, VJ?
I'm doing pretty good. So I've just come across your blog, and you have a very interesting story to share. So tell us about when were you diagnosed and what your story. I think you were diagnosed when you were like 98, so it's like 13 years back, right?
Yeah, that's right. I was diagnosed back in 98, so it's been about 13 years. And I think at the time, I can't do the math pretty quick, but I was like 22 years old. And, for me, it was completely out of the blue. And looking back, now I know a lot more about diabetes, but then I didn't. And, the sure signs of diabetes were all over the place. But at the time, I didn't know. So it's interesting to kind of look back and say, wow, I had no idea what was going on, but it's classic signs of diabetes.
So you said you were first diagnosed when you went to a camp for some camping or something, right?
Yeah, so I was in between my junior and senior year of college, and I was home for the summer, and I was doing work, for a painter. So I was doing a lot of painting inside houses, and the one day that I knew something was wrong, I went to the bathroom like 15 or 17 times that day, and I just at the time I had no idea what was going on, and it was really hot, and I was drinking a lot, so I just figured, well, I'm drinking a ton of liquid, so it's just going right through me. And then the other episode that I talked about on that last podcast was when I went camping with my wife and my brother and his wife, and really small tent, and we were crammed in there. And over the course of the night, when everybody was trying to sleep, I kept having to crawl over everybody and unzip the tent, which was really loud, and go out to go to the bathroom. So that's when my wife actually alerted my parents to say, I think something's wrong with Tony. You might want to get him checked out. And then I think she had set up a regular physical for me or something like that, and the doctor immediately knew what was going on.
So when you went to the doctor, you said all the classical symptoms of diabetes, and he immediately figured it out that you had diabetes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm really thirsty all the time, I'm sluggish, and going to the bathroom all the time. I mean, classic signs.
Yeah, so coming to this, so now your wife, but before that she was your girlfriend. So how did she take it? Like, she was surprised, or how did she take it first?
I guess she took it okay. She wasn't really, I guess, all that involved too much. It was just kind of something that I was dealing with. And I was with her quite a bit at the time. We spent a lot of time together, and then my senior year we lived together off campus. So she really didn't have too much of a hard time with it. With me, it was a shock, because I think I talked about this too before. I don't think I ever knew a diabetic at all growing up, so I didn't even know what diabetes was, and then I kind of just got immersed into it and, had to figure it all out.
You were type 1, right? If I'm correct?
Now, yeah, I'm type 1. At the time, I think my pancreas was starting to stop producing insulin, but it didn't happen all at once. And I think I actually caught it a little bit earlier than some people might, because they started me on some oral medication for kind of type 2 diabetes. They didn't know, they didn't really diagnose me with type 1 right away. So then over the course of probably 6 months, it started getting worse and worse and worse. And my doctor finally said, it's just a matter of time before you have to go on insulin. So that's when, I kind of figured out that I'm, type 1, no longer producing insulin.
Okay. So when you were not producing insulin, and later you went on insulin pump or injections, so is it kind of a complete lifestyle change for you? So how did you take that? How did you manage that?
Yeah, and I started on injections probably the end of 98, beginning of 99. And then I didn't start, I'm on a pump now, but I didn't start my pump until like 2006. And I really kind of fought that for a while. But my lifestyle wasn't really changed that much because I exercised regularly. I watched what I ate before I had diabetes. And then it was just slight changes, like I didn't drink regular soda or regular juice that much. It was all diet stuff and water. I never really was a sweets person, so candy or ice cream, I could pass that stuff up. So the whole diet part of it wasn't really that much of a shock.
Yeah. So the next part of it is maintaining your highs and lows, which is the toughest part in diabetes. So I read your blog, a few days back. You posted the lows that you had. So can you describe that?
Yeah, there's two vastly different aspects: the highs and the lows. The lows are, probably less frequent for me. I tend to run a little bit higher, not on purpose and not too high, but the lows are really scary. And I can feel them coming, so I know, when to treat it. But even still, it's very nerve-wracking, and you just want to get some food or liquid or something with carbohydrates in you as fast as possible. So treating a low is just kind of an emergency. The high aspects, if you're high, you're going to feel a little bit different or sluggish or thirsty or the classic signs. But for me, it's trying to avoid the highs. So I've had numbers in the 400s. I think I've had a couple in the 500s, and that's just getting it down as quick as you can, and doing all the right things and keep checking to make sure it's coming down. So I just treat lows with simple carbohydrates as quickly as possible. Try to keep with lows. Actually, the hardest part is to not over treat. So if you get really low, you're not taking in so much that you end up really high. I mean, that's really the trick, because when you're low, you want to get as much in you as possible quickly. So it's kind of hard to count sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, you have learned a lot on insulin, diet, and exercise. And you also work out a lot. I've read your blog. You do that P90. What is that program called? PX90 or?
Yeah, it's a kind of an extreme home workout program. It's called P90X.
Oh, P90X. Yeah.
So that's for kind of building muscle, and I've started recently on a program called Insanity by the same company. But it's really to just kind of stay in shape, build muscle, to keep fat off. Okay. That's really what I've done since, probably I was 15, 16 years old, is just try to work out and stay healthy.
What percentage of your exercise plan needs to be cardio, and what percentage of this should be strength training?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends on what you want to do. So if you're getting a little overweight, you'd probably want to do more cardio, but you always want kind of a balance both. So you want to focus more on strength training when you want to build muscle, and you want to focus more on cardio when you want to lose weight. That's just kind of overall, but always mixing in some strength training will help even to burn more fat and lose weight quicker.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that usually cardio helps you more than strength training, because cardio, when you do a lot of cardio, it helps your cells to be more immune or to be more active to the insulin.
Yeah, I think that's very true. The two different workouts have very different impacts on blood sugar. So when you do a lot of strength training, it's, I guess, the anabolic effect. I don't know the medicine of it or the science of it too much, but you'll see a lot more delayed insulin spikes or insulin drops when you're doing more strength training and using your muscles and building muscle. And then when you're doing more cardio and getting your heart rate going, that's when you can really drop your blood sugar quickly and go low.
Okay. And also you wrote that more exercise doesn't always mean lower A1Cs. Can you please explain that?
Yeah, so when I first started the P90X, I was full force into it, and what I would do is I wanted to get my workout in every night. So if I was really low, then I wouldn't be able to get my workout in. I'd have to treat the low and might not get it in. So what I did is I ended up running a little bit high, and I'd start my workouts, I'd be like 180 my blood sugar, and if you look at what that would translate to an A1C, you're looking at least 8, and that's not, that's okay, but I'd like it to be lower. So what I was doing is I was letting my sugar run high so I could work out, build muscle, and not really focusing first on my blood sugar instead of working out. And I kind of figured out that the best way to do it is to start off in a good range, and then as you go through your workout, drink like Gatorade or something with a little bit of sugar in it to kind of keep you from going low, but not run too high. So that's why I said that exercise, you just have to do it right, and not like I did and just focus on working out and didn't really care about what my blood sugar was, as long as it was probably below 250 and above 120. So I was
okay. So you intentionally spike up the blood sugars, and on an average, when you do it for 3 or 4 months, your A1Cs will always be higher, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I didn't want to eat a lot because I was also dieting at the time and trying to lose some weight. So if you run too low, you'll have to correct with some sort of liquid or food that has calories in it. So, I didn't want to always go low and have to eat something or drink something to get it up. So I just let it run a little bit higher than I probably should have. And it kept my calorie intake low as well, which, again, I'm not advocating for this. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, and I kind of learned my lesson going through it. Because I worked out for, 3 months straight, every night, and I saw a very small drop in my A1C over that 3 months, and I was expecting a lot more.